Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. Can we finally get you guys to stop using password managers online? Yes, even the coveted Bitwarden. Okay, we're going to walk through, the LastPass had yet another breach, and this one was completely avoidable, because guess what? It was one of those third parties, and it's really interesting because this breach here is a breach of a whole bunch of your personal information, and of course, LastPass's terms of services, we only collect the minimal amount of information we need to process what you asked us to do. You know, I asked you to manage a password vault, but no, they, like many other shady companies, are going to go onto third-party data brokers, which in my opinion should be completely abolished. And then they're going to augment your profile with a bunch of other stuff. And then they're going to package this over to a trusted third party that has spit, shook, and pinky swore not to abuse that data. And of course, then they're going to leak all of that data out. And I have receipts. And if you're sitting here going, well, I use Bitwarden, you're not in much better shape. You're a little better shape, but not much better shape. Well, let's go ahead and have a look at what's going on over here. So, LastPass manager maker LastPass says hackers stole customer support case data during a Clue breach. Now, this is not a customer service system. Clue is a market analytics firm, which means they're taking all of your data, they're analyzing it, processing it, building advertising profiles, and then selling that to people to sell you ads based on LastPass? Can you delete this now, please? Go back to KeyPass XC. I know it's inconvenient. If I change a password, I will have to change it in a couple of different places. Or you can just use sync thing. People are saying that works. Anyway, information, case records, support case records were stolen during a recent hack at one of the technology partners marking the company's latest data breach in recent years. So the market research firm Clue, that's what the company hacked. Hackers abused their access to obtain reams of data about LastPass customers. LastPass is the latest in a growing list of cybersecurity companies that have reported data thefts as a result of the breach at Clue. So a number of people apparently breached at Clue. Now, LastPass said the hackers took customers' names, phone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses, as well as customer support case data and sales-related data. Now, we're going to come back to that red spot again in a minute here, because we're actually going to go look at their privacy policy and look at what might be some inconsistencies in that privacy policy. You should read those. They are kind of fun. All right, so hackers stole the company's entire store of customers. This is in 2022, of course. Hackers stole the company's entire suite of customer password vaults. And then a hacking extortion group took credit for the breach, has publicly threatened a release of stolen data if the ransom isn't paid. So this is what LastPass says the data was taken. Your password data is safe for now, maybe, until they start really convincing phishing messages. But they said the hackers took names, phone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses, as well as customer support, case data, and sales-related data. And I look at this and going, who is giving your physical address to a internet company that simply stores your passwords? Well, why do you need to do that? So I went ahead and read their privacy policy, which is very funny because they have a lot of interesting inconsistencies. And we're obviously not going to read all of it. I highlighted the most significant spots here in yellow to have a brief look at. So first is, and this is at the top at like nearly every privacy policy, what personal data we collect. We strive to limit the types and categories of personal data that is collected from and processed on behalf of our users, including only data which is necessary to achieve the purposes for which it was collected. We have measures and policies in place designed to ensure that we only collect and process data from our users that we believe is necessary to provide them with a world-class service, like getting hacked by extortion scammers. That's a world-class experience right there. I mean, I can't get hacked by extortion scammers doing anything. I got to come to LastPass for that clear level of world-class service. Right. But notice here, what are they taking? Only the data required to provide the service you ask for. I am asking for a password vault on the internet that I can access that stores my password. Now, I'm not asking for that personally. I would not put my passwords on the internet like that. No, that's called a target. All right. It's like, I don't know. So what would be needed? A username and a password. You don't even need an email for that. A username and a password is the minimum amount of information needed in order to provide that service. And then hopefully from that, you might be able to have an option to provide a phone number or an email or something for 2FA or a password, or usually like, hey, we're super high risk, a username, a password, or that's all we need. And if you lose it, you're screwed. Okay. I'm okay with that. Be clear. We're cool, you know? But again, all we are collecting is what we necessarily need to provide you the service. Obviously they do billing data. Yeah, this might include a physical address. It might include a mailing address, things like that. Offer us Monaro. They don't want to do that, of course. But they utilize a third-party payment process, so they can't even put together their own payment process. They have to send all that out to some third party. So now that third party collects the data. Now, the good news about that is that LastPass does not actually have any payment information. Okay, I'm on board with that in a way. Okay, so if LastPass has some catastrophic breach, they're not getting payment stuff. Now, unfortunately, they're third party on the other hand. That's a different story. But actually, that's not too bad. Now, this is where we get a little hairy, because remember going back to what we started with, they only collect the data needed to provide the service, right? That's the very top of their policy. Well, have a look at this. We work with third parties and service providers that provide us the data about you. I thought you were only collecting and processing the data needed to provide the service. Why are you working with third parties that provide data about me? That means they're augmenting the profile. If you create a LastPass account, you are providing them the opportunity to reach out to every other data broker on the internet, collect and augment a profile about you, which they turn around and sell or get breached. We collect publicly available data about you from other third party. This data from third parties includes identity breach monitoring data. So they're looking for your name and your email address, syncing that up with other third parties and augmenting your profile. The data may contain personal data such as personal identifiers, professional or employment-related information, business contact information, internet activity information, social media profiles, LinkedIn URLs, and custom profiles. We may combine this third-party data source with personal data provided by you to draw inferences or make assumptions. Well, I thought up here you were only collecting and processing information required to provide the service, which is an internet-connected password vault that has passwords. That is it. What are you doing with all this third-party data collection and augmenting profiles? Marketing money. The Spaceballs flamethrower. Kids love this, merchandising, of course. They talk about what data they use and their legal reason for collecting said data to improve our services. Well, you don't need to improve your services necessarily. Okay, we process your personal data to identify usage trends and issues in order to optimize and improve performance of our services. Okay. And then over here, identifying prospects for marketing purposes. Yes, did you know that you provide the minimum amount of data you're comfortable with? They take that little bit of data, they go onto the vast internet, they collect every bit of information about you, and then they turn around and they sell it to a marketing firm. Analyze our records to identify prospects as well as their presumed or identified needs or preferences and serve ads and other communications that may be of interest to you. Hey, LastPass, none of that is of interest to me. We process your personal data to personalize. This is under personalize and promote services. We process your personal data to personalize the product experience and send you communications about the services you use, as well as marketing information related to your services, which includes announcements about the services, product updates, news, or events. Yeah, again, I didn't ask for any of that. Who we share your personal data with third-party service providers, which the federal government has said is the biggest source of company hacks. Isn't that wonderful? It's very good to know they're sharing this data when we're there to have an ultra security password vault. With contractors, other third parties we use to support our business. Such third parties operate under appropriate confidentiality and data privacy obligations. In plain language, that is, they have got together in a boardroom, they did a pinky swear and a spit shake, and they have pinky promised they are not going to abuse that data. till some Singaporean hacker goes, I will pay you like $5,000 for a profile. Okay. Third-party social media and advertising networks so that LastPass can advertise on those platforms and measure advertising effectiveness. Wonderful. So you're already buying the service and they're using it to track if you're seeing their ads. Wonderful. Okay. They do not sell your personal data, including any vault data. However, some states, the use of third-party cookies and sharing data with third parties for the purpose of providing personalized advertising may consider a sale or sharing your data. We don't share your data. We just share your data. Okay. So, and then of course, this is funny here. Your rights. What rights do you have? Okay, I'm using LastPass. What are my rights? Certain jurisdictions impose legal requirements and afford privacy rights with respect to processing personal data, depending on the applicable laws of your jurisdiction, including comprehensive U.S. state privacy laws such as the California Consumer Privacy Act, Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act, Colorado Privacy Act, Connecticut Data Privacy Act, Delaware Personal Privacy Act, and others. So your rights may include the right to one of these is delete your data. In other words, if you're not living in one of these states, you don't have any rights. We're just affording you rights where you are in a state that the state tells us we have to let you have those rights. So I know my audience is like, yeah, I wouldn't be using LastPass anyway. What are you talking about? I mean, I use Bitwarden. You want to have a look at Bitwarden's privacy policy, folks? I wouldn't use Bitwarden either. Even the self-hosted one. The self-hosted one, that's just like they got the Plex problem, even to create your own self-hosted Bitwarden. And I know there's a fork of this. You can actually do it without, but to use officially Bitwardens, you still have to register your self-hosted server that you're hosting and paying for yourself. You have to register it with them, which now means that there's a giant record somewhere of your information at Bitwarden. You might ask why. Did you read the privacy policy? It might tell you. There's privacy policies a little bit better, and really, it did not load my stuff. Oh, come on. Man, I had some really fun, spicy stuff in this one to show you, too. I'm going to have to go through this quickly. Now, this one is better than LastPass. Not a lot. I don't remember if they're actually going on to third parties and augmenting your profile. Maybe they are, though. I can't. Let's see. Additional use, collection. When you share, use the site, communicate with us via email. You provide Bitwarden will contain certain information, name, business, IP address, other identifiers, and customer testimonials. The information you provide to the site, information about the device you're using. If you interact with Bitwarden community or training or registered for an exam, etc. Information gathered via cookies, pixels, tags, logs, and other similar technologies. They may use the personal information collected by the site to provide you services to accomplish the business stuff, obviously an online password vault, or for other business purposes, operating site, administering your account, sending marketing, advertising, training, certification, or event material, which you have agreed to or requested. Have any of us agreed to the marketing? I don't know. Applying security protocols, research and development. So they're selling some data off to research firms. There you go. Did you ask for that one? And then, of course, general things that they're required by the law. Analytics data. They are using Google Analytics. So if you're logging into Bitwarden, you are being picked up by Google Analytics. When you use the site using Google Analytics, we and Google may link information about your activity from the site with activity from other sites that use Google Analytics service. So they may very well be tracking you around the internet. They don't deny it. They just put that in the privacy policy. So Bitwarden hosted events. There's job candidate stuff. Obviously, third-party access to job candidates. We're going to not touch the job candidate stuff. You need kind of that. So if you want to, you can email them if you have questions about the privacy stuff, accessing and correcting. The good news here is they don't necessarily have the state law filtering. They basically say if you want to delete your stuff, we'll delete your stuff. That's kind of what they do. So it is slightly better, but it's not much cleaner. So that's why I wouldn't use this either, because again, you're relying on other people's servers. You're doing all these other things. We do not track visitor sites across third parties. Therefore, we do not respond to do not track circumstances. We do not track visitors and site access across third-party websites. The Google Analytics part up here kind of denies that. If it's in their Google account, Google Analytics by default follows you across the internet. So I don't know if I trust that. Links to third parties, site or Bitwarden services may contain links to a number of sites owned or operated by third parties that may offer useful information. Okay, so those are actually just okay, there's nothing else down there. I don't remember anything else being this far down. But my overall point here is that all of these online password managers, they all have similar fundamental problems. Keep your passwords off the internet, folks. Use KeePass XC if you need a password manager completely offline. And you ask yourself this: how frequently are you changing your passwords? Is it all that difficult to resync the passwords at the end of the day if you had to change something? These are fundamental things to think about. So there are problems. Obviously, LastPass is a big problem. You have a proprietary system. Bitwarden is better. It's open source. People can go in there and see what's going on. But as far as a company going, they don't seem to be operating too far out of the norm of any other company that requires an internet account and for you to log in stuff. They could just be like, yeah, here's your basic username, here's your basic login. We don't need to know anything else. But no, they're augmenting in with other things. They're not apparently filling out profiles with data brokers like LastPass is, but you never really know what's going on in some of these things. Use KeePass XC. I have tutorials on it on the channel. You can use it for your passwords. You can use it for your MFA. You can use it for your passkeys. Isn't that kind of cool? So there are options out there as well. With that, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts about all these in the comments down below, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.